Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the vampire cocktail. Ooh. We'll start with a shaker of ice. To that, we're going to add cranberry juice, 1 ounce. One ounce cranberry. Next, raspberry liqueur, 1 ounce. One ounce. Finally, 1 ounce vodka. Pretty simple recipe. Then we shake. Take our old-fashioned glass. We strain it in there. And serve it as a shot. Pretty good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
In this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Countess Dracula, the Countess Elizabeth gets to relive her glory years. And let's just say she finds the euphoria of being youthful again intoxifyingly addictive, no matter the level of homicidal beauty methods. I don't know about you, but I'm not so keen on going back to my teens. Although if I knew then what I know now, I might just scorch the earth. Unfortunately, I don't think I could recruit the necessary evil co-conspirators quite like the lovely Countess Elizabeth does. So aging gracefully appears to be my only option. And hopefully yours too. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
It's what we do.
Anything we need to cover from last week's episode, Karen, before we get started into this cinematic gem we have tonight?
I suppose I have to fess up that I made a mistake.
What?
So as I tell my kids, things happen.
Go on.
Apparently, the wonderful synopsis I read for The Mummy, which I was very impressed with, was not for The Mummy from 1925.
It wasn't.
It was from The Mummy of 1999.
Oh.
Is that correct? Is that the right year?
Sounds right.
The Brendan Fraser one, which I enjoyed too, but
They both seem a very long time ago to me.
But I screwed up. I read the wrong synopsis. It still applied, but it was not correct.
Except for the year. The year
Yes.
that was mentioned in the synopsis was not correct. That was the only thing. That's what threw me for the loop, Karen.
Well, maybe I said it wrong now. What was the year? 1922 or 1925?
Mummy came out in 1932.
Oh, and okay, so I said it wrong. I even messed it up again.
The film started in 1925, but
okay. All right.
I believe. But the Mummy synopsis you used referenced.
I don't know. The dates didn't match.
Yeah, they didn't match.
I like it. The Mummy is a rousing, suspenseful, and horrifying epic. I thought that was awesome, but
it was
incorrect. My apologies to everyone who was offended by that. And I did make Greg happy that I made a major mistake that he gets to point out.
The original takes place in 1921, and then there's a 10-year later, so 1931, right?
Yes.
Yes. Don't you remember, Karen? It was just last week.
I didn't even have the right synopsis. And you want me to remember that? Come on.
All right. We're ready to move on to this week's film, Karen?
Yes, let's.
I believe this week was my choice. Was it not?
Yes, it was. And what did you choose for us, Greg?
Film I have chosen, Karen, is Countess Dracula.
And why is that?
Well, it stars Ingrid Pitt, Karen.
Can't go wrong there.
The lovely Ingrid Pitt. And her birthday was November 21st. So she would have been 85 years old had she still been living, Karen. Sadly, she died in 2010 at the age of 73. But happy birthday, Ingrid.
Happy heavenly birthday.
She was a Holocaust survivor, Karen.
I know she was Polish.
Yeah, she spent like the first 3 years of her life or something in a concentration camp, and her family escaped or something. Crazy. That is why I chose the film, Karen. Ingrid Pitt's birthday.
Excellent. Do you have a cocktail for this lovely movie, Greg?
I do, Karen. Thank you for asking.
What's that?
Cocktail I have chosen is the vampire cocktail.
Okay.
Would you like to know how to make it, Karen?
I would.
It's very simple. We need 1 ounce cranberry juice, 1 ounce raspberry liqueur. I used razzmatazz because I'm cheap. And 1 ounce vodka. We combine all those ingredients in a shaker with ice and then strain into a old-fashioned glass and serve as a shot, Karen.
Nice. Is there a point in the movie that you'd like to take the shot, or are you going to sip it?
No, I'm going to sip it because I already did it as a shot for the YouTubers. Not very well, I might add as well. So
making it or taking it?
No, taking the shot. It's 3 times a shot. So.
Oh, yeah. I guess it is. Yeah, that is. When you say it like that and I'm looking at it, that would be quite the shot.
Yeah. So I did it in
maybe it's made for 3 people.
2.5 sips.
Maybe it's made for 3 people. You know how they pour it out, like they do the fancy. No. Okay.
Nope. All right. Should we give our wonderful listeners time to make their own
of course
vampire cocktail?
Get on it.
Quick and easy. 1 ounce cranberry juice, 1 ounce raspberry liqueur, 1 ounce vodka. Shake and serve. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Hi, Karen. Might you have a brief synopsis for Countess Dracula?
I do. I hope it's the right one.
Oh, let's see. See if do I have one? I do, Karen. Let's see if we're a match.
When Countess Elizabeth Bathory, the lovely Ingrid Pitt, discovers that bathing in the blood of virgin girls will keep her eternally young and beautiful, she devises a master plan. She kidnaps her daughter Ilona and takes over her persona. That's nice. It rhymes. Then she goes to bed with a handsome young man, not caring about the mounting jealousy of her servant and lover, Captain Dobi, who looks familiar to me. But Bathory's plan goes awry when she runs out of blood and begins to change back into her former self.
Not really that good of a synopsis.
No, it's not.
For one thing, her name is not Bathory.
No.
It's Elizabeth,
Yes.
but not Bathory.
It's all wrong. She doesn't kidnap her daughter to take over. She does kidnap her. Well, not to.
Yes, she
never mind.
does. Well, and takes all that stuff is accurate, I would say. But it's just the Bathory stuff. It's not
Well, and she.
correct.
Well, whatever. We'll get into it.
Okay.
But do you want to know a little bit about Countess Elizabeth Bathory?
Was her name Elizabeth?
Yeah. She was a Hungarian noblewoman, an alleged serial killer from the family of Bathory, who owned land in the Kingdom of Hungary. And it says Bathory and 4 of her servants were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and women between 1590 and 1610. It said she is the actual inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula and not Vlad the Impaler. Some people argue that. And then there's also a lot of evidence that none of this actually occurred. She was a real person, but once you're gone, you can't control your narrative. And she was a very wealthy woman, and she had political rivals who wanted her land and riches. And so it's possible that they invented lots of these types of stories to gain a stronghold. She must have been pretty, though, if people would believe that she was bathing in blood to keep herself young and beautiful.
Suppose.
Obviously, we weren't there. We don't know, but it sounds like most people think it was politically motivated character assassination.
Okay. Well, this film does take place in Hungary in the 17th century. So timeline and location is correct, though the names do not match.
Just the first name.
It is based, obviously.
On those rumors.
On those rumors, yes.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm sure everybody can't wait.
Countess Dracula, a Hammer production.
Yes, it is.
Released in the UK in 1971, in the US in 1972. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
First thing that popped up was rated 16 plus. No other warnings. Just 16 plus.
There was a nice sexy man hitting a gong, though. I've not seen that before.
Was he all oiled up?
He was. Like the Tongan guy in the Olympics. Before the movie starts. It's part of the intro with the movie company, I think.
Yes. Film opens and apparently there's a funeral, Karen.
And someone's late.
Someone's late. But we learned that the Count, who I assume the funeral is for, wanted him there for the reading of the will. Right. So apparently he's inheriting something.
And the old lady there, it's a young man who arrives on horseback. And the old lady there eyeballs him.
Quite a bit.
Yes.
And we have credits. And we cut to the old lady riding in the carriage past the servants or the peasants.
With her 2 male companions, older companions.
Yes. One of the peasants jumps on the carriage or jumps to the carriage and says, your husband, the Count, promised me work. Please.
Yeah, he's hanging on.
Please, I have a wife with 2 children and one on the way or some shit.
They don't slow down at all. He's just hanging on for dear life.
And the gentleman in uniform kind of, uses his little whip thing and slaps him off the carriage and they run him over and he gone.
Yeah, it was a shock.
Next, we cut to reading the will, Karen.
You're going to skip over the woman who yells, devil woman,
Yeah.
devil, devil.
The
So they don't
pregnant
like
woman
her.
with the 2 kids,
Yeah.
who I assume is the wife of this man who was just run over.
But she's not well liked by the peasants.
Reading the will, Karen.
Yes.
Captain Dobi gets his suit of armor and uniforms or some shit.
Well, they introduced the young man to everybody. Did you catch the young man's name?
Lieutenant Toth is, I think, what they call him.
Okay. Well, I just say young man through the whole thing because I couldn't figure out what his name was.
Yeah, his last name is Toth.
Okay. But they introduced the young man as the son of the Count's really good friend
who
fought with him in war. Yeah. So that's why he's there. He's going to get something in the will.
And Lieutenant Toth gets the horses, the world famous horses in the world famous stable, Karen.
Yes, he does. And Captain Dobi, with his uniforms and suits of armor, is not happy.
No, he is not.
But Master Fabian, who's the historian, is ecstatic. He gets the library.
Gets the library and all the contents thereof.
Well, the maid gets some cash and room and board for the rest of her life. Julie, who is
the nurse.
The nurse, yes.
And then all of his other riches and whatnot, land fortune, are left to his wife, the Countess, and
who's
their
very
daughter.
Happy for a second.
And the daughter.
Yes.
Ilona, right? Ilona.
They say it both ways.
Okay. And they must split the remainder of the estate.
But they're waiting on the daughter. The daughter has not arrived yet.
No, she's on her way, apparently. They kind of make it seem like she's an Ingrid at the beginning, but
I didn't notice that.
I did. So then Fabio, I call him Fabio the whole time.
Okay. It's probably right. I don't remember. Is it Fabio?
I think they call him Fabio. Fabio. But I call him Fabio, so I'm going to keep calling him Fabio.
All right.
Fabio takes Lieutenant Toth to see his stables, his world famous stables and his world famous horses. And the Countess watches from afar. And we learn that Captain Dobi has been in love with the Countess for 20 years, Karen, 20 years.
Fabio says, wait for Ilona to arrive. She's a beauty.
Captain Dobi's been waiting for this moment for 20 years, Karen.
Yes, he's loved her for 20 years. That's nothing compared to last week.
He has that. Yeah, it's true.
Come on, man. That's nothing.
So the Countess is going to take a bath in. Chambermaid has made her bath too hot, Karen. So she brings in some cold water to put in, and it's still too hot, and Countess kind of burns the chambermaid or whatever with the water. And then the Countess asks her to cut her a peach. And she inadvertently cuts herself and gets some blood on the Countess. It splatters on her cheek.
Well, after the Countess smacks her for making a mess because she drops the peach because she can't peel it because her hands are burned from the water. And the Countess gets all pissed off and hits her. And when she smacks her, she cuts her cheek too. And the blood splatters on herself and on the Countess.
Countess sends the chambermaid away. Later, the Countess discovers that the spot on her face where the blood was has made her skin young and youthful looking, Karen.
Yes, it's like an Instagram filter.
And then Countess wants to go see the chambermaid.
She asked Julie to go get her and bring her to her, but Julie's a little hesitant, so they go together to the chambermaid's room. And I like that the Countess sits on her bed, touches her face, and says, "Don't be frightened," which 100% of the time means be very frightened.
Cut to the next morning, Karen. Chambermaid is missing. No one knows where she is. Guess her mom's looking for her or something.
The Dobi comes back into the castle, and I don't know where he's been, but the mother is distraught. Where's my daughter? He's so nice. He says, check the whorehouse. And the mother says here, and it's important, She wouldn't be there. She's a pure girl.
Yes, that is important.
Mm-hmm.
So then Dobi goes to see Captain Dobi, I guess. I just call him Dobi, but it's Captain
So do
Dobi.
I.
Goes to see the Countess. And she looks very young, Karen.
Yeah, there's Ingrid Pitt in all her glory. And
She
Dobi
don't look quite 19, though, Karen.
No, don't even start me. But she looks good, and he recognizes her right away.
Yeah.
I mean, he's loved her for 20 years, so.
Yeah.
But she's a lot.
He probably remembers when she looked like that.
No, if she's supposed to be 19, that would only be 39. The Countess is a lot
Karen,
older.
Karen, she looks 30. She don't look 19. She looks like 30 something.
But even if she still only is in her 60s, she looks like she's about 80 when they age her. But she's feeling herself, man. She's loving it. This is just. And he says, "Where's the chambermaid?" She doesn't answer him. She just says, "Look at me, look at me," which I would probably do too.
Would you, Karen?
Yeah, if I looked like that, absolutely.
Okay. So next we see Ilona.
Because even Greg, if I was 19 again, I still wouldn't look like that. So if I looked like she looked, definitely.
So next we see Ilona.
Well, because Dobi says, "What are you going to do when Ilona arrives? You know, you can't pretend to be her if she shows up." And the Countess
says, "What are you going to do when she arrives and you look the same age as her? What is she going to think?"
That's what. Yes, that's exactly what he says. He says she's going to notice, and Countess kind of uses her new feminine wiles and says, "Well, she doesn't have to arrive, does she?" In his ear, and he loves her. So,
yep. So next we see Ilona on her way on the coach, and she's kidnapped by a group of men led by Dobi. And they take her to a hut or some shit.
Yeah, I think there's a man there waiting for her that takes her inside,
yes.
Who's being paid by Dobi. We see that later.
Yes, we cut to Fabio, and he invites Lieutenant Toth to dine with the Countess and them that evening.
And he doesn't look that thrilled about it until
he learns that her daughter, Ilona, should be there. Dinner time, Fabio tells Lieutenant Toth that the Countess will be having dinner in her room. She doesn't feel well, but her daughter will be joining them for dinner. And this is where the Countess takes her daughter's place. And it all gets confusing when you're trying to tell the story.
It does.
So at the dinner table, the Countess, impersonating her daughter, tells a story
Ilona.
about Dobi giving roses to the Countess or her mother on the day she left.
She was swimming in the lake and she spied a man on the
Apparently
bank.
Naked, Karen.
Yes, cutting roses. But she couldn't get out of the lake to see who it was because of modesty. Wink, wink. And then later she saw the same flowers in her mother's bedroom. She asked who gave them to her. When she starts telling a story about the day she left, Dobi tries to stop her with a toast, but she goes right back to it.
Yeah.
Once they're done. And she says that her mother promised to tell her what it meant when she grew up. And
who gave it to her?
Then she told her right before she came down, the name of the man was Uncle Dobi. And everyone laughs. And the mother says he was one of her many secret lovers. So the new Countess is sticking the knife in and twisting it. She is not being nice.
Next, we cut to Ilona in the house of a mute.
The real one.
Yes, the real daughter, Countess Ilona. And they're having dinner, and apparently she don't like the gruel because she throws it in the face of the mute.
Well, she runs to the door, but it's locked.
Cut back to the castle. And for a long time, I thought this was Edinburgh Castle with all the exterior shots. So I thought it looked familiar, but it's not. I was incorrect. Don't know where it is, but it's not Edinburgh Castle. So anyway, Countess and Toth taking a tour of the castle because she wants to become reacquainted with it because she hasn't been there in years, Karen. since she is now the Countess Ilona.
And she's giggling like a little girl.
Yes. She and Toth make a love connection, Karen, I wrote.
Yes, they do.
And they make arrangements to meet the next evening.
He asks her if she's going to live here with her mother or go back to Vienna. And she says she hasn't decided, asks him what he's going to do. And he says, this already feels like home. So he's going to stay unless he gets called back to war.
Yeah, he is a soldier.
But if she leaves, he swears he'll follow her.
Yes. Next, we see Fabio and the nurse talking about Ilona. And Fabio says he originally thought she always favored her father. But now she is a striking resemblance of her mother, Karen.
And he thinks she's very mature for 19.
Next evening, Toth comes to see the Countess at the tower.
The fake Ilona. So
I should start calling her Elizabeth instead of the Countess, because they're both Countesses, right?
yes. First, Countess Elizabeth, in her young form, tells the man that she'll see him in 2 days. And that's just too long, Greg.
Yeah.
Can't
2
wait
days.
that long. So they're meeting that night instead. She's going to put a candle in the window if it's an all clear.
In the tower. So he comes to see her at the tower, and they enter into the castle through a secret passageway, Karen. Fabio sees them scurrying down the hallway. He goes back into the library where he and Dobi were apparently playing chess and falls asleep. Dobi's already asleep. But then Dobi wakes up and he grabs a book from the library about the human body, Karen.
I think Fabio pretends to sleep.
He does.
And then listens and sees where Dobi goes.
Next, we cut to Toth and the Countess kissy-facing.
Yes, but before that, I just want to say that is a very cool library. It is huge, has nice chairs in it. I'm digging the library. But yes, kissy facing.
Then she sees her reflection.
But first, he wants her to say she loves him. They've known each other. This is another, 48-hour love connection. Say you love me. Say you love me. And of course, she says she loves him.
Yes. She sees her reflection and sees that she has turned old again. She runs away to her room and calls for the nurse. Next day, Karen, circus is coming to town.
Yes, it is.
We're dancing in the streets. The gypsy girls. Dobi confronts Countess Elizabeth.
Well, he's pissed. He's like, I've waited 20 years for this. And she's like, what? Don't you want me to be young and happy? He says, so you can be with the young man? Which basically she says, yeah, she's ditching the old dude, who's not a bad looking guy.
She does kind of promise him sexual favors from time to time, but
when she needs something from him,
she never really follows through. And when she does, it's too late. But anyway.
But she gets Julie to tell Toth that
Nurse Julie.
Yeah, Nurse Julie to tell Toth, Lieutenant Toth, that she heard her mother calling her. So Julie has smoothed over any awkwardness from the Countess Elizabeth running out of the room.
Yes. It's kind of like 5th grade.
Yeah.
Go tell him this. What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Nurse tells the Countess that he understands, whatever. Countess Elizabeth tells the Nurse Julie to find her a girl and bring her there. Nurse Julie asks about Ilona. Where is she? And the Countess Elizabeth tells the nurse that the Danube River flooded where she was to cross. And at first the nurse thinks she's dead, but I think Countess Elizabeth says, no, she's quite fine. Right, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next we cut to the servants.
Before you go there, she wants Julie to find her a girl. And Julie opens the window and shows the dancing girls outside and turns to the Countess and says, would you like your fortune told? So that's how Nurse Julie is going to find a girl. She's going to have one come up willingly to tell a fortune to be paid.
Cut to servants talking about Countess Elizabeth, and they are all suspicious. They wonder about Ilona and the chambermaid. Where are they? Where could
They're
they
gossiping.
be? So next, the nurse Julie brings a gypsy girl to the Countess, and the girl begins to tell the Countess her fortune using cards, Karen.
Yes.
Countess gets up and puts a necklace of jewels around
Well,
the
what
gypsy's
you're not going to
neck.
say what she said? She
No,
said
I don't know what she said.
She said she sees a new love in her life.
Oh, a new love.
Yes. You'll be young in your heart again, she says. But she brings out the ice.
Necklace of jewels.
Yes. Diamonds and rubies, it looks like.
She puts it around the gypsy's neck, and it looks very good around the gypsy's neck as well, I would say.
She had a nice display.
Served her well.
You would have bought that necklace if it was for sale.
But the gypsy keeps saying, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then Countess Elizabeth grabs a hairpin from her hair and stabs her right in the freaking jugular, right? So the hairpin or a hat pin? It's a long freaking pin.
It must have been a hairpin. She wasn't wearing a hat.
You know who Countess Elizabeth reminds me of?
Who's that?
Gary Oldman and Dracula. The old Dracula.
Yes. With the butt hair.
Yes. Next, we cut to, Countess Elizabeth, right? And she rides to see Toth at the stables. The young Countess Elizabeth.
Yes, she's going to see her stable boy.
And they embrace. And then Toth and Countess Elizabeth go for a roll in the hay, Karen. Literally.
True. He does take out her hairpin and puts it in the hay. I thought that was going to... They did a close-up.
They did. Now I was going to ask you, what the hell was that shit?
I thought they were going to circle back around.
But before we get there, Karen, we do see one bare breast.
We do.
Next, we cut to Toth and Countess Elizabeth going for a ride.
He just can't believe he's so fortunate. And this is where I say, again, she does not look 19.
Yeah, they stop by a river and they sit there.
And he looks in his 30s too. So I guess that would be more acceptable for him to be a lot older than the daughter. But
yeah, he talks about his good fortune. He cannot believe how lucky he is. 2 days ago, he was just a soldier. Now he's a man of substance or something, he says, right? Because he's got stables and horses and a woman he loves.
So
a countess.
Yes. And she kisses him and says, she'll teach him everything he needs to know. The Countess
is 19 with 19 years experience, Karen.
Well, but
that's what she looks like. She's even more than that, but
yes, but that's what she looks like. Even as the young Countess, she looks about 35.
Right. You could tell they tried to fix her face, but exactly. My thoughts exactly.
Tyler, thank you. But the weird thing is, so her daughter is 19. And when you first see her, how old do you think she's supposed to be? When you see her at the funeral? 60s?
Gosh, she's older. She looks older than that.
I know. And her daughter is 19.
She looks in her 80s.
Yeah, 70s or 80s. So she had this kid
80s,
when she
I
was
would say 80s.
50 or 60.
Yeah, I know.
They really age her. Granted,
yeah, well,
I understand they're going to make her look younger when they put her natural beauty, when they take off all of the makeup, but it doesn't match up.
The Wikipedia page is even worse. It says that her daughter is 17. I'm like, there ain't no fucking way. And her daughter doesn't look 17 either. She might pass for 19.
Yeah, she looks about 20.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing with Ingrid Pitt, that we're supposed to believe that she's 17 to 19 years old when she's probably 35. I'm distracted by it. But go on. They're declaring their love for each other.
She was 31 when this film was released in the UK.
Again, she's beautiful, but she's not 19.
Next, Bobbio and Dobi are talking about the Countess Elizabeth, and he wonders if she is going to stay in her room forever. He says, if she were sick, she surely would have called a doctor.
He doesn't believe it's widowhood. No. He doesn't think she's that broken up that her husband is dead.
Next, cut back to Toth and the princess, or countess.
You could call her the princess because she's feeling like a princess.
And Toth proposes.
Of course he does. They've known each other 48 hours now. She agrees instantly.
Yeah, Countess.
Instantly.
She does, and she says she will talk to the Countess. Countess says she will talk to the Countess.
She's going to talk to herself later.
Get her blessing from herself.
Yes.
Got to Ilona in the cabin. Not much going on there. We just see her there just so we don't forget she's there. And all the while, we see some boys running through the woods looking for eggs or something, I think.
I think they're looking for bird eggs, yeah.
And they happen upon the dead gypsy, the topless dead gypsy, Karen, and her 2 bare breasts.
Yes.
And jugular wound. And they run away. Run away!
To go find some help.
Next, cut back to Countess and Dobi. Countess Elizabeth tells Dobi to tell Toth that she approves of the marriage to her daughter. Now she's sending the guy who's like in love with her to like.
Yeah, she's mean to him. I mean, he loves her, and she just assumes
he'll go along with it and not like.
But he does. Her. Well, he does for a while. I mean, just because she's young and beautiful, she can get away with all this stuff.
And she promises that she will be with Dobi later that evening.
He says you can't keep killing forever. And she says, why not? You and Julia will help me. She's not afraid. And she's happy. She says again, I'm happy.
Next, we see the authorities coming to get the gypsy girl. They throw her on a cart and cover her up. And they stop and ask the mute if he knows anything. And of course, he shakes his head no. Nope. Don't know anything.
Yeah, they want to know if they saw anyone dragging a gypsy into the woods. And he says no.
Cut to a pub. Lots of merriment going on. And then Dobi and Toth enter and the place goes quiet. As they do.
When you walk in?
Yeah. Toth is there to receive the paperwork or whatever for his horses and stable. It's all official now. And
he owns 39 horses and 54 mares or something like that.
Oh, Sergeant comes in and tells the captain, who has just given the paperwork to Dobi, about the dead gypsy girl.
So all the blood's been drained out of the gypsy outside. And the villagers, he says the villagers are getting frightened. And the prostitute comes up to the captain.
Ziva.
And puts her boobs in his face. So we meet her.
Ziva.
She's popular.
Apparently, yeah, she's well known by Captain Dobi
and the police
and captain. The police captain and yeah, everybody. Cut to Countess Elizabeth. She awakes in the middle of the night. She runs to the window to close
in a cold sweat
and sees her reflection and sees that she is old again. Seems like she gets older every time too.
Yeah, but she's still in her flimsy white nightgown.
Yes, she is.
And she's not happy. No, she's getting more warts, like a new wart every time she comes back. Yes, she is. Hey, Greg, do you hear that? You know what that means.
Krampus is coming.
Uh-oh. Have you been naughty?
Always, Karen. But I'm feeling kind of nice today. I'm thinking we should do a giveaway to celebrate the Krampus season.
That's a great idea. What should we reward our listener with?
We've got 2 amazing prizes to give away. The book, The Krampus and the Old Dark Christmas, Roots and Rebirth of the Folkloric Devil by Al Ridenour. And a signed hardcover copy of Rock Tales, an amped up spin on mixology by Kristen Capt and Maya Banatawala.
Those are amazing prizes. How can you win one of these prizes?
Just email your name to info@scaryspirits.com and put contest in the subject line.
So we'll pick from everyone who enters by emailing their name to info@scaryspirits.com and puts contest in the subject line.
Yep. Just enter by December 15th.
Either of those would make a great holiday gift. So enter today.
Yes. Back at the pub. Got a belly dancer, Karen. The circus is in town, remember?
The camera does linger.
Toth and Dobi then tried to decide who she'd be with Ziva, the prostitute.
Well, they're each fighting. No, you should take her. No, you should take her.
Well, Dobi thinks that he's going to be with the Countess that night. So he's telling Toth, well, you need her more than I do tonight.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out right away. And then I realized what he was doing. He needs Toth to be busy so he can be with the young Countess.
And Dobi tells Ziva that Toth is taken with her. So
They say they're going to take her back to the castle, but she says, no, that place is cursed. But then they offer 50 coronas.
50 coronas.
And she says, okay, but I tried to look that up. And I don't know if that was the right currency for the time. Because when I looked up the 1600s, well, the thing I could find was 1754 was the florin.
Hungary. I don't know.
But
no idea.
They say coronas, but I couldn't. I was going to try to figure out how much that was worth now to get you to go to a cursed castle that you were afraid of, but I couldn't find it. I was going to quiz you, Greg.
And Dobi agrees to protect her as well from the Countess, who
from
Ziza
the witch
believes is a witch. Yeah.
Yes. And they're very drunk, all of them, or at least the lieutenant is for sure.
Cut to the Countess praying.
And crying.
Smashes a mirror.
They are sneaking into the castle, the three drunks, very loudly.
They sneak Ziza into the castle. Cut to the Countess destroying her room in a fit of rage. Then we got Ziza and Toth in bed. Dobi puts them both in there, and we see
hopes for the best.
We see two bare breasts, Karen. Apparently, Fabio startles Dobi. Apparently, he's found a map of hidden passages in the castle in his newly acquired library that was bequeathed to him.
That's a score. That'd be fun.
And so he's exploring them all, and Dobi warns him about snooping around. He may frighten someone and they may kill him because they are startled. So next, Dobi goes to see the Countess, and he accuses the Countess of knowing she would be old when he got there.
Yeah, he's not happy. He's thinking he's getting...
You knew you would be like this when I arrived. And he has no interest. Good day.
She's not young and beautiful. He doesn't, because he is very attracted to the young Countess.
Well, he was attracted to the old Countess.
I know, but he's even more attracted to the young Countess.
Well, duh.
He's such a sweet man. He's going to show her.
Yeah, she goes on and on about Toth and whatever, and he says, "Oh, you want to see your
fiance?
Fiance? I'll take you. I'll show you."
He drags her in her flimsy white nightgown.
Yes, takes her to see Toth and Ziza. Apparently, Toth is having some issues with.
He's passed out. He's not even conscious.
Ziza's not happy.
No.
She wanted to be paid and fulfilled, I guess. Just not enough to be paid. But she ain't happy.
And the Countess realizes that Dobi set it up.
Yeah. Countess accuses Dobi of arranging the whole thing and tells Dobi to bring Ziza to her.
Ziza wants her money.
Yeah. So, and Dobi pays her, and he pays her double. 100 coronas. But he wants her to be with a woman, Karen.
Yes.
And she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. For 100 coronas, shit. Whatever. I think she said she'd do like a whole army or something, right?
I don't know. I didn't hear it.
It was something like that. And Fabio sees Dobi lead Ziza to the Countess in the hallway, and then he goes back to his library and begins reading about blood sacrifice from the book that I guess Dobi had looked at earlier.
Yes. So when he pretended to be asleep when they were playing chess, he noticed which book Dobi took out. And when he's seeing all these things happen in the castle, he's getting very suspicious. So he goes and looks at the book himself and finds blood sacrifices.
Next, we see Ziza with her wrist slit, Karen. Topless, of course.
Two more. We've
already seen those two.
All right.
And the Countess is sponging her face with the blood, Karen. But
With a big, huge sponge as big as her head.
well, it's probably period.
Okay.
Natural sponge,
All right.
I don't know. But it does not work like it had before, Karen.
It's not working.
Dobi goes to the library to get the book. Fabio's there with the book, and he tears the chapter about blood sacrifice from the book and threatens to burn it. Countess Elizabeth enters. And then Fabio tells them that if only you had kept reading, Dobi,
Yeah, you can't quit early.
you would have seen that the blood must be that of a virgin.
Only the virgin will restore youth and beauty. The Countess is pissed, but thanks him for his scholarly efforts.
Cut to a marketplace. Dobi buys a young girl and her goat for 25 coronas.
Yeah, it's weird. There's two women kind of up on hay bales, and there's a guy trying to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I don't know. I guess that happened then. And he sees a young girl with a goat who's a child, basically,
Yes.
and says, I want that one. And the guy says, you can have her if you pay me 25 for the goat.
Right.
And he takes her.
Yeah, and he asks if she has ever been with a man, and the guy says, well, who would want to? Or something like that, right? Whatever. So next, Toth wakes up at the castle, and he's looking for Ilona.
The real
Ilona.
one. Who he thinks is the
Yes.
real one.
And he sees the Countess in her old age face and tells her that he is looking for her daughter.
I'm going to use that from now on. If I ever put makeup on or whatever, I have to wash it off and get my old age face back.
And then Toth promises the Countess that he will love Ilona for the rest of his days. Cut to Ilona in the hut. And then she's turning on the sex appeal now, Karen.
She's trying to use her feminine wiles.
Yeah, tries to seduce the mute. And she does, and takes the keys and runs away.
Because for some reason he can't stand up when she seduces him, grabs the key, but she falls and slips in the creek.
Yep.
Yeah.
He grabs her, takes her back to the hut. Next, cut back to the castle. Fabio runs into Toth and tells him not to be surprised if you cannot find Ilona. And he tells him to meet him after supper.
But I think Dobi sees them, right?
He does. Next, we cut to, I guess, after supper, and Toth is trying to find Fabio. And he does.
He does find him.
Hanging from a chandelier, Karen, in the library, I guess. He gone. And Dobi is there, too, just sitting and looking.
Yeah, and Toth says, you killed him because he knew something about you and the Countess.
Mm-hmm.
He knows, but...
And then they have this argument, and then Dobi says, oh, you want to see your Countess? You want to see Ilona? You want to see your lovely Ilona?
To have the Countess. He says, you can't have her. And Toth says, I don't want her. You know, she's all yours, dude, because he doesn't understand. And then Dobi says, do you want to see your bride? And he says, yes. And he says, so you shall, in all her glory, and takes him into the Countess's room.
As she's taking a blood sponge bath, Karen. At least she's young looking.
I couldn't tell the way he looked at her when he saw her. I was like, is she half and half? Like, is she beautiful to her waist?
She's.
It's just the blood that freaks him out.
Yeah, and we see another bare breast, Karen. We've already seen one. Now we see the other because she's completely naked.
Yeah,
taking a sponge bath.
It's hammer blood again.
It is
terrible.
And this is when the Countess comes clean to Toth or whatever, and
she says, "I am Elizabeth," and he recoils from her.
Then Countess, I guess, convinces Toth that he killed Ziza the previous night because he shows her body, and so she's kind of blackmailing him into keeping his marriage vows.
I thought she just said, I'm going to accuse you and I can have as many witnesses as I want. So if you don't go along with it, we're just going to convict you. Because she has, Dobi and Julie. And so that's what I thought. I don't know, but you could be right. But I took it as she's just going to show him the dead body and say, it was you, even though he knows it wasn't. But I guess you're right. He was passed out. So I don't know if he knows if he did it or not.
So next we see him carrying Fabio out of the castle. And the captain or whatever the hell is there and investigating. And Dobi tries to frame Fabio for the death of the gypsy girl as well.
Yes, he found some of the fortune cards in his desk. But they're pretty much saying Fabio died from suicide because he felt, and then Dobi wants to say because he felt guilty for killing the gypsy girl.
Cut back to the servants, and they find the bodies of all the dead girls in the wine cellar, and they call the sergeant because the captain is there. He's down there with the servants for some reason. So they call the sergeant. Whatever.
They find the 3 girls in the cellar.
Captain has several of the male servants taken for questioning. He tells the women to leave the castle and they can come back once the case is solved.
Yeah, and young Christina / Ilona is back, kind of watching all of this going on. So all the women leave the castle. So they're in a little bit of a jam now because they have no women.
Cut to Dobi and Toth playing chess.
Which made me wonder, before you go there, would a male virgin have worked? Or was it only... I know female virgins are much more enticing for moviegoers and things, but virgin blood is virgin blood.
Suppose. I don't know. Cut to Dobi and Toth playing chess. And this should be familiar to you, Karen. As Toth knocks the pieces off the board.
The board is flipped.
Dobi says that Countess will grow old again when she runs out of virgin. And then he can have her and Toth can be on his way. Don't worry about it. Marry her and whatever. Once there's no more virgins around, you're free to go. Or something like that, right? Next, the nurse comes to fetch Dobi, that the Countess wants him or whatever. And then while the nurse is there, Toth questions her about Ilona. So cut to the Countess and Dobi, and Countess Elizabeth wants Dobi to have a virgin girl ready for her when she turns again. And he agrees.
Because she's fake Iona again and she's making out with him. And so he'll agree to anything at that point, apparently.
And the Countess tells the nurse later that day, I guess, to search the castle for the girl.
She doesn't trust Dobi anymore.
No, she fears that Dobi has double-crossed her, and she just wants to be sure that there was a girl there ready.
Julie does it.
Yep. While she's searching, she runs into Dobi. Dobi assures her that the girl is there and will be ready. And then Nurse Julie finds Ilona.
The girl, who happens to be the real Ilona.
Ilona, yes. Locked in a room in the castle.
They have a tearful reunion. Because I guess she probably pretty much raised her.
Yeah.
Nurse
like a
Julie.
daughter. She's like a daughter to her.
Yeah.
Next day, wedding. Wedding day, Karen.
The fake Ilona is at the breakfast table.
With Dobi and her fiance.
And she says, some people think it's bad omen to see each other before the wedding, but I'm not superstitious. So she's thrilled. Toth, not so much.
Yes, and she wants to defy the captain's orders just for the day and have everyone in the town come to the castle and celebrate her wedding.
Because she's so happy. And she'll have drinks for everyone. That'll make everyone come.
Yes. So next, Nurse Julie takes Toth to see Ilona. And they devise a plan to help Ilona escape.
And he basically falls in love again.
At first sight.
Yes,
as you do.
Pretty much.
He goes back and tells Ilona that she must leave at once.
With Julie,
tells her that the nurse will come and take her to the stables, and then she is to ride to the county house and wait for the captain. But she wants him to come with her because apparently she's already made a love connection too. And he agrees to meet her at the stables. Next, we got a wedding, Karen.
Yes, we do. And everybody's there to celebrate.
And the nurse sneaks away. And there's a bunch of Latin. I wrote.
And the Countess does look pretty, I thought.
Well, yeah.
For a moment. for a 31-year-old woman.
She's looks pretty a lot in this movie, but whatever.
I know. I'm just saying she looks extra pretty as a bride.
Even when she has old face, she's got,
bright eyes. Well, you mean her body.
Her flimsy,
nightgown.
Nightgown reveals her 30-year-old body, but whatever. So cut to the nurse Julie taking Ilona from her room. But as she's leaving, she hears the priest and demands to see what is going on. She is drawn by the Latin Karen. Then she watches as Toth marries her mother.
But she doesn't know that because she can't see. It's the back of their heads, so she can't tell.
And then just as the priest pronounces them man and wife and whatever gives the blessing, the Countess turns old again.
I thought it was a pretty cool transition they did there.
It was.
She looks all beautiful. She's young. She puts her head down
to pray
right as they're married. And as she lifts her head, she looks like a corpse.
Yeah.
And the priest freaks out.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was a smooth transition.
And then she runs to kill Ilona.
Yeah, does she know she's her daughter at that point?
No.
She just sees that it's the young girl that she needs to kill, even though everybody's seen her old now. So that would be a weird thing to do in front of everyone. But I guess she cray.
Yep. Toth chases after her and they struggle and she ends up stabbing him instead. He gone.
Yeah, he's dead.
Next, we see the Countess, the nurse, and Dobi imprisoned.
Yep.
The townspeople are talking about the hangman arriving. We kind of see
he is
a guy.
Arriving. Yeah.
The peasants call her Countess Dracula. They're all whispering about her and call her Countess Dracula. The end. Credits.
So, Countess Dracula, when was Dracula set? The book? Because why are they calling her Countess Dracula?
Okay, Dracula, the novel, was published in 1897.
But the story was set around the same time? It looks like it from the movies and such.
I think we looked this up earlier when we were talking about Dracula, and the novel does not give it a time period.
But still, it's not the 1600s.
It is not.
So why are they calling her Countess Dracula?
Oh, no.
Missed something there.
Because it's a 1970s Hammer film. Could that be why?
Did you read that Ingrid Pitt's voice was dubbed through the whole thing?
Yes, it was.
They did a good job.
I could tell, though.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
I guess because I didn't read it until afterwards.
I knew beforehand. But...
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know until after. But why did they do that? She had a fine voice.
I do not know.
It wasn't dubbed in The Vampire Lovers, was it?
No. She did have an accent, but I mean, she's Polish. It's like a Slavic thing, so I don't know what the difference would be.
It would have fit.
Yeah. So six bare breasts, Karen. That's the total.
That's not bad. They were all pretty good looking breasts. I'm going to say. Yeah.
Well,
one oiled up gong banger.
Well, if I count him, there's
true. 2 more.
8. All right, Karen. Anything you really enjoyed or were pleasantly surprised by in this Hammer production from 1971?
It certainly was not a vampire story, but the story is interesting. I don't know a lot about Elizabeth Bathory, and I think I read a book once or something, but
it's funny. I think you would know all about her.
I do know, who she was, but I would think I was surprised how late in life I discovered her. You would think I would have known something, but I just never got back around to researching her or anything. So the story is interesting, I will say. This is, from what I read, the book I read, this is pretty tame in the methods that she used to kill people and all of that. But it's a good horror story, but I don't know why they needed to try to make it about Dracula. That doesn't fit at all. But I like the story, and the sets are always great. And besides the fact that she was supposed to be 19, which bugs the crap out of me, and I don't know why it bothers me so much. She was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
I mean, the acting was fine.
Those are my first notes. 19 ?
So I think it's pretty much, if you say, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? It's pretty much, it's a Hammer film. It's the things I like about Hammer films. I like
You like
about
about
it.
this? Yeah, the
Yeah. And the
sets
things I
and the
don't like.
costumes and
Right. The
all
things,
that.
things I don't like, I don't
Blood
like.
and the
And the acting's not great. And,
acting's not great. No,
it was fine.
she was not 19.
Yeah, like there's just inconsistencies there. So it's the same as any other Hammer film. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. You can tell by watching it. I'm getting better.
Well, they're all Hammer films aren't the same, though. Come on.
No, but you can tell by watching a Hammer film that it's a Hammer film.
All Hammer films starring Ingrid Pitt may be the same.
They all kind of have the same fantastic sets, bad blood, okay acting. Sometimes the acting's better than other times, but sometimes it looks like
Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
Yes,
now,
they are
Karen.
great, but sometimes the females look like they were somebody's friend that they promised to get into the film or something. I don't know. It's just this is not one of the best Hammer films we've seen. I
agree.
I don't think Ingrid Pitt can carry a Hammer film like Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing.
No.
But even when Peter Cushing was in The Vampire Lovers, it didn't really save it. He was good, but What about you? What did you like?
Same, Karen. I mean, I like what I like about Hammer.
She is very pretty, and she's got she's got a beautiful body. She really does. And when they put her in the clothes and the flimsy nightgowns, and it's an effect. It's stunning. She's stunning. But they always try. I wonder if she's the one who tries to make herself play 19 or teenagers, or if the directors are doing that or what. I don't know who's doing that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because she's gorgeous. But when you try to make her a teenager, it's a disconnect. So you don't appreciate it as much. Whereas if she was playing even a 25-year-old, she would pull it off so much better. So I don't know whose decision process that is, but this is twice now.
It is probably the producers or directors or whatever, probably producers. She's probably a hot commodity at the time.
Yeah, but she doesn't look. I mean, the daughter could have been 25. I guess they're trying to make sure she's a virgin, but still, for the whole twist at the end.
The Vampire Lovers was a year earlier, so it's
Well, they've aged her to 18 because wasn't she supposed to be, or 19? Wasn't she supposed to be 16 or 17 in that one?
Yeah. It was like they're thinking fresh off the Vampire Lovers, let's get her another film. You know what I mean? Or I guess, I don't know. I'm not going to blame her.
Okay.
She can't help it.
Well, but maybe it's in her contract. If you want me to star in the film, I have to play 19.
No, I doubt that.
I doubt she had that kind of power.
All right, anything else you didn't like that we haven't already covered?
No, I think it's fine.
It's fine.
I don't know why they have to have mutes in their films. What's up with the mute?
Well, he can't spill his guts. He can't talk. It's perfect.
He can point. That's the man who paid you, that dude.
That's true. But I guess they get theirs in the end. So justice is served, right? In the end.
It appeared to be. We don't really see what happens to Ilona after all that.
Well, I assume that
she's the Countess of the castle, I guess.
Yeah, she inherits her mother's share of her father's estate.
Yeah.
Too bad she does not have a young man to share it with. Because he gone.
I'm sure there are many that are available when she inherits all that.
Sure there are. All right, what kind of cocktail rating?
I'd say it's a 4.
I predicted a 4, Karen.
Yeah.
So I agree.
It's not terrible. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I would say if it comes on TV late at night and you're trying to fall asleep, give it a watch.
Yeah. And I find it interesting that Oh, the poster that I found. It's that Ziza girl
Oh, is it?
in the poster. And Countess is in it as well as a smaller image with when she's going to stab Ilona at the end. All right, Karen, what do you think of the vampire cocktail?
I could not do that as a shot, but I think it's good. Do you like it?
I
I
do.
would think I would put a little fizz in it.
It reminds me a lot of last week's for some reason.
Yeah. I would put a little like carbonated water, something, I don't know.
Mine has evaporated.
There's a cranberry juice that is carbonated. I think it would be good with that.
Maybe a
Just
sparkling water cranberry or something.
I think that would make it very similar to last week's too, which
Yeah, but if I'd have done more research about the movie, I wouldn't even pick this drink. So, as I said earlier,
can't believe we don't have. It's called the vampire, right?
yes,
Cocktail. Can't believe we haven't had that already.
there are many, I think,
Oh,
but
okay.
kind of been saving this one, but I think I blew it.
It did not. I don't. That was yeah, that's a disconnect. That wasn't really. But we've had that happen before. We misjudge based on the title and the plot. Then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, crap.
All right, Karen, anything we learned today?
Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, which I found a little distracting. I don't know if you did. I looked up, and I'm not sure this is the correct term because I'm not 100% sure, but those big military fur hats they kept wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it's called?
I don't.
A busby? A busby? Busby. English name for the Hungarian military headdress made of fur. It's usually a bear skin that they use in a tall fur cap worn in a ceremonial military uniform. But they both, Toth and Dobi, at different times during the movie, wore these very tall black fur hats.
And they're called Busbies,
Busby. I think.
which
I
is
don't
the
know.
English term for the Hungarian hat.
Yes.
So, what did the English call their big black furry hats
I don't know.
that their
Might be the same,
military dudes wear?
like at the changing of the guard and
Yeah.
all that. I don't know. I just found it distracting once in a while because they'd put on these big, I mean, they were tall. They were at least a foot tall.
They're just called caps. That's what they call them. They're made of bear skin. Canadian black bears, Karen.
It says in its original Hungarian form, the busby was a cylindrical fur cap having a bag of colored cloth hanging from the top, which is what they wore.
Okay. Well, apparently English just call them caps, the ones they wear.
That seems very unoriginal.
Yes.
But besides that, which I didn't mention during the podcast, we learned a little bit about Countess Bathory.
Yep.
That's about it. I did not bring the knowledge this time.
Well, we know the currency was coronas, but I don't think that's accurate, right?
I don't know. I couldn't find it. Didn't seem accurate. Seemed a little too late, but hard to say.
Yeah. All right, Karen, I believe next week is your choice. Is it not?
It is.
What film have you chosen for us next week?
Well, we're into December, right?
We are, Karen.
Can you believe it? Do you have your Christmas shopping done yet, Greg?
Karen. No, I do not. I have
Well,
ideas. I have ideas in my head.
To distract you from that, we're going to be doing the 1936 film, The Devil Doll.
The Devil Doll from 1936. Okay. Any reason you chose this film, Karen?
It's supposed to have Christmas theme sort of thing or occur during Christmas or something. But we'll see if that's true. So December, I'm trying to do holiday themed, Christmas themed movies.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Do you have a cocktail?
I could have been misled from a website. I do have a cocktail. It sounds like we're revisiting a drink because I think we had one named this already, but this is different. It's called the Mad Scientist. I think the last one we made called the Mad Scientist was made with where we soaked Skittles in vodka.
You might have.
But for this one, you're going to need a half an ounce of blue curacao, 3/4 ounce of Chambord, and 1 ounce of vodka with equal parts cranberry juice and lemon lime soda and some dry ice, which I probably won't have, but.
Sounds very familiar, Karen.
Doesn't it?
It does. We had a cocktail called the Mad Scientist. It did involve Skittles.
Yes.
And dry ice. Maybe that's why I'm thinking. But it did not include the blue curacao or whatever it is.
Yeah, this one is very similar to the one we just had, but you're adding what I said I think I would like is lemon lime soda plus a little blue color. I'm pretty sure this will fit. Whether the Devil Doll occurs during December month, I don't know, but I'm hoping so.
Okay. Just looked up the movie. I don't see anything about Christmas, but whatever.
I didn't either, but I found it on a website that had horror films divided by holiday, and this one was under Christmas. So
Yeah.
I could be 100% wrong. I trusted the website without doing a lot of research. But it has is it Lionel Barrymore in it?
It is.
So
Directed by Todd Browning. It's based on the novel Burn, Witch Burn.
So we'll see. If I'm wrong, it's still going to be a fun movie, I think.
Apparently it's a cult film. It was released in July. So
Yeah, I have a feeling once I picked it and did a tiny bit of research that I'm probably wrong. But, who knows? Again, won't be the first or the last time that I'm incorrect about something. It's a cult film. It's a horror film. It has a Barrymore in it. We'll just sit back and enjoy it.
all right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Of course, I'm going to thank our listener. There are a lot of podcasts out there. Thanks for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Getting your list out?
I'm going to thank the band Verse 13 once again, Karen, for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
Music does make the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Well, we should talk about our contest.
Okay.
Briefly. If you haven't entered, you need to do so. Got some hot prizes ready for you.
What would those prizes be, Karen?
We've got 2 books, one on Krampus and one on Cincinnati and cocktails. Good times. Perfect Christmas gifts.
And how would one enter to win those?
All you have to do is email info@scaryspirits.com, put contest in the subject line, and put your name in the body of the email. We will randomly choose one winner, and you will get the books.
Just that easy.
You know you want to. You know you have a Krampus lover on your gift list, and you know that you have a drinker on your gift list. So,
Or keep them for yourself, whatever you want to do.
True.
All right, Karen, anything else?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.